Spring just slid into your DMs. Grab that boho look for that rooftop dinner, those sandals that can keep up with you, and hang some string lights to give your patio a glow up. Spring's calling. Ross, work your magic.
We
are
Cultivate.
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 We are Cultivate.
Hello and welcome to Ye Olde Crime, where we discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear. I'm your host, Lindsay Valenti, and with me is my sister and co-host, Mattie Savage.
Hello.
Because it is the first episode of the month, we need to shout out our Buy Me a Coffee sustainers. So thank you to Charlie, Elizabeth, Sarah, Cheryl, and Mariam.
Yay, thank you so much.
And if you would like to become a Buy Me a Coffee sustainer or just give a one-time donation, which is also appreciated, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/yeoldecrime. Well, are you ready for today's topic?
It's not going to be surprise lawn pig again, is it? Because I'm still a bit prickly after that.
No.
last
No.
one.
This
Okay, good. You
I promise. Yeah.
Okay.
This week,
Then yes.
we are going to be discussing Mattie Blaylock.
M-A-T or M-A-D?
M-A-T-T-I-E.
Oh, they're the even cooler versions of us. Oh, no.
Information was pulled from the following sources. A 2025 All That's Interesting article by Marco Margaritov. 2025 Legends of America article by Kathy Alexander. 2025 True West article. 2024 Pamela Nowak blog post. 2019 Just a Gypsy Journal blog post by Nick Russell. 2010 True West article by Mark Boardman. Find a Grave, and 3 Wikipedia links. And special thanks to Carrie Ann for her research assistance on this episode, and links to all of these articles will be included in the show notes. Now, today's tale centers on a woman whom history tried to erase.
Happens a lot.
And the real question is, was she an unwilling victim to the Wild West or her husband?
Neither are great answers.
Yeah.
I don't really like either option. Can we have a third option?
Everything was fine.
No? Everything was fine. And she died mysteriously at an undetermined time within her life from birth to 87.
Well, let's crack into it and see what happens.
No. Okay, fine.
Celia Ann Blaylock was born on January 4th, 1850, in Monroe Township, Johnson County, Iowa, to parents Henry and Elizabeth Vance Blaylock. She was the middle child of 6, behind her elder sister Martha Jane, who was born in 1842, and brother Marion in 1848. Her younger siblings include Sarah Ellen in 1853, William in 1855, and sister Toni May in 1867. There were just 2 boys out of the 6.
He doesn't even get a middle name. They're like, no, it's long. Your name's long enough. You're fine.
Fun fact, all 6 survived childhood, with Marion passing at 20 after an injury during the Civil War, and William at 21. Celia's parents had moved to Iowa from Indiana in 1846, purchasing a small farm about 8 miles south of Fairfax, Iowa. They were very active in church and did not tolerate such vices as cards, alcohol, and frivolity.
I bet they were great neighbors and, really went to all of the church picnics.
Yes.
With the biggest smiles on their faces,
Some of the principles of the time that they religiously adhered to were spare the rod and spoil the child, as well as children should be seen and not heard.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. that's a rough childhood, and being the middle child, that's either really great or really, really bad. Either you were acting out all the time or you were like hiding behind
Yeah.
your siblings on either
Yeah.
side.
The Blaylock farm was near a main wagon road, which would then later on become a
Ooh,
railroad. And strangers would often
wow.
stop at the farm to ask for food and water, which they provided.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this wasn't really the time of the Benders, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but still, could you imagine? Because, like, if you're traveling too and you see a house like that, it's gonna be like a moth to a flame. You're gonna look crazy because you're desperate for like food and water, and you're gonna feel crazy. And these kids just experience it at any given time,
Yeah.
no matter what, like 24/7, and they just have to like take
Just to
it
deal with it.
and deal with it. Like, that's a lot for a
Mhm.
kid, you know?
Yeah. Celia was raised in Fairfax until she ran away from home in 1868 at the age of 18.
Oh, man.
Some sources claim she left sometime between the ages of 15 and 18, and her younger sister Sarah, who was 3 years her junior, left with her.
Oh, that's not good.
So the pair ran off together.
A third of your kids run away from you. That's not great.
Celia was a good seamstress, not to mention proficient in many domestic chores. She stood around 5 feet tall, had auburn hair, quote, large bones and a fine face, end quote, and a small frame.
But large bones, that's...
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Like, maybe that means she could, like
Stocky?
lift a lot, but she had a small frame. And I've seen pictures of her, and she didn't look what I would consider to be stocky, or what could be considered stocky of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just weird. Yeah, maybe she like... I don't know, maybe she walked a certain way
Or maybe she was
because
just really
she worked
strong.
she was on a farm. Yeah, because I mean, if she was a part of that household, I imagine she did just about anything in terms of chores and stuff.
Maybe that's what that meant.
Yeah.
Sarah returned to the family farm in October of 1870, so about 2 years after they ran away. It said that she came back a disgraced woman, and her family quietly took her back.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice or good for
But
anybody.
Celia refused. In fact, she was
Yeah.
all but erased from the family's history.
Wow. So is it like they wouldn't accept her no matter what, or she would never go back?
I think it was
Or
a little
like equal
both.
Viper? Wow. Ugh. I can't like, I know it happens, and I know there are like a million super legitimate reasons, you know, like relationships happen, but I just can't imagine never wanting to see my family again, like at all.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, even if I really hated you, you know, like,
Yeah.
never again? Like, even just to like spit on your shoe or something, you know? One last time.
I did read in one source that she did go home once, like later in life, but then never again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gotta be so rough. Oh.
There are a few different theories as to why Celia left home, such as the idea that she went to join the circus, that she was jealous of her older sister Martha, who was known for her beauty and favored by her parents as the firstborn.
Could be.
Or the more likely theory that she was escaping a life of strict rules and backbreaking farming after being married off. She did not want to be married off.
Yeah.
And her older sister was married off at the age of 17.
Yeah. So I bet she was just like, I don't want to be next. I'm out. And she had scared the other sister enough to the point where, like, no, she will never, ever, ever.
Celia traveled through Kansas, and with not many options available to her for gainful employment, she took up sex work, first in Scott City. Celia posed for a rather well-known photo in Fort Scott, Kansas in January of 1870.
Oh.
And it was there that she met the man who would change her life, Wyatt Earp.
What? Okay. Like that. Okay. Yep. Wow. I wasn't expecting Wyatt to be in this.
It
Okay.
wasn't long after their introduction that the pair began a romantic relationship, although Celia would continue to work as a sex worker for several years. The exact time of their
Yeah.
courtship isn't clear, as it's possible that they started seeing one another in mid 1871 when Wyatt was staying at his brother Newton's farm at the time. Wyatt's first wife, Eurilla Sutherland, had passed away in 1870 from typhoid fever, and he was working on a floating brothel for a time where he married a teenage sex worker named Sally Heckle.
Just casual, as you do after your wife dies, your
As
first
one
one.
does.
You have your teen
Yeah.
fling,
Arrest records note that Wyatt was in Peoria, Illinois from the fall of 1871 to 1872. Family members of his recall seeing Celia with Wyatt at gatherings before and after Wyatt's time in Peoria. It's unclear if she was staying with some of his family at the time, as there are no census records of her in Peoria.
Yeah, could be.
There are, however, records of a Sally or Sarah Haspel and Sally Earp. It could be Celia, adopting a variation of her name as a working girl in Peoria. It's common knowledge that brothel workers would often adopt the last name of their manager as an alias, and Wyatt was connected to several brothels at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In 1873, the pair were in Rice County, Kansas, before settling in Wichita. It was around this time that Celia adopted the moniker of Mattie and took up work at a brothel along with Kate Elder, aka Big Nose Kate, and James Earp's wife, Bessie. The name was likely a brothel alias, although members of her family believe she adopted the name as another dig at her older sister Martha.
Oh, Mattie is a nickname of Martha?
Well, I mean, Mattie, maybe. Wyatt worked as a faro dealer and a shotgun guard for Wells Fargo, and the couple moved to Dodge City in 1876 after a spate of trouble in Wichita, where Mattie would take up work as a dance hall girl.
What could go wrong with that
Right.
job? Nothing ever goes wrong in a dance hall.
Well, especially if you're working as a card dealer.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the pair moved to Tombstone, Arizona on December 1st, 1879, Mattie was Wyatt's common-law wife and took on the last name of Earp. She became his common-law wife the prior year in 1878 at the age of 28, and this union was confirmed in the 1880 U.S. Census.
Darn. Okay. That would have been a big deal.
There is no record of her working as a sex worker in Tombstone, and no arrest records attest to that fact either. So if she was, it was on the
So
DL.
so he actually getting married made an honest woman out of her. Potentially. Allegedly. Allegedly.
Mattie regularly suffered from severe headaches, which she would treat with laudanum, a common painkiller of the time.
No. Ooh, that's a bad one.
What may not have been as readily apparent was just how addictive laudanum was. And it didn't take long for her to become addicted to it by the time they moved to Tombstone.
It'd be hard to get, too.
I should note that there are reports that Mattie and Wyatt's relationship didn't actually start until April of 1876 in Dodge City, but I wanted to note the other versions of their meeting that were noted in multiple sources. So there's kind of like...
It's like a 5-year difference,
So there's like conflicting reports. I mean, it's entirely possible they met in 1871 and their relationship didn't progress until like kind of after he came back from Illinois.
Well, or like it was just as sporadic as him traveling,
It could have been on and off again.
They met, and then like whenever he was in town, they'd be together.
As Mattie's laudanum addiction grew, so did Wyatt's disinterest in their relationship.
I bet she would be nothing. She'd be furniture at that point.
It wasn't long before he started an affair with Josephine Sadie Marcus, around the time of the shootout at the OK Corral on October 26, 1881. In March of 1882, Wyatt's brother Morgan Earp was killed. As we've discussed previously, he was killed by Johnny Ringo, or supposedly killed by Johnny Ringo. Allegedly. And Wyatt had his brother Virgil escort Morgan's remains, as well as the women connected to the Earps, to Colton, California, so he could be laid to rest. Wyatt had Mattie join the group heading to California, while he and his brother Warren stayed in Tombstone to get their revenge. And this is when they had their famous ride. After arriving in California, Mattie anxiously waited for word from Wyatt on when she would head back to Tombstone to be by his side, but no such telegraph ever arrived. In fact, during this time, Wyatt continued his affair with Josephine, going on to marry her a few weeks after Mattie left Tombstone in early 1883.
So when he was like still married to her legally.
Well, yeah. I don't know how
even though it's common law, but like I would imagine you would still technically be married if she was gone in less than 24 hours.
Well, and they left in 80.
Like the
They left in
divorce or
82,
annulment.
so it would have been like roughly a year.
Oh, maybe then. I don't know.
Although some reports note their union as early as 1882, so that would have been like right after she left.
Yeah. Damn.
Mattie would later leave California and the Earp family and make her way back to Arizona, settling in Globe, where she once more returned to a life of sex work, which was kind of hard because at the time the silver boom was kind of waning, so there wasn't a whole lot for people to do there.
Yeah.
Members of her family indicate that by the late 1880s, she had abscessed teeth and likely developed cancer.
Yeah. Laudanum was awful. It was so awful. I'm honestly surprised she lasted as long as she did on it.
On July 3rd, 1888, Mattie was found dead from a lethal dose of laudanum and alcohol in Pinal City.
Yep.
It's either Pinal or Pinal City, Arizona. It has been speculated that she accidentally overdosed and passed from respiratory depression. She was 38.
Yep. Yeah.
According to her Find a Grave listing, her death certificate, signed by Thomas H. Kinnaird, lists her cause of death as, quote, supposed to be suicide by opium poisoning at the age of 40 years, end quote. He also noted that her death would have been brief, so she would have gone quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she would have had like barely a pulse anyway at that point if she was that dosed up and if she had the alcohol in her system too. Yeah, her heart probably just literally stopped.
It's unclear if Mattie's death was an unfortunate accidental overdose or if she had, in fact, taken her own life. Although author Frank Waters and researcher John Gilcrease in the 1950s uncovered a deathbed conversation in which Mattie stated that, quote, Wyatt Earp had ruined my life, end quote.
Probably. He definitely didn't help. It didn't get better with him in it, so.
The mystery of Mattie's death continues thanks to her final resting place, if that is, in fact, where her body was laid to rest. Today, Pinal City is nothing more than a ghost town outside Superior, Arizona, a former mining town. Her grave can be found at the Pinal Burial Ground on a hilltop a mile or so outside of what used to be Pinal City. A simple marker was installed at her supposed grave in the 1950s, and it was later stolen in the 1970s. In 1995, an imitation 19th century headstone was installed, but later removed by the National Forest Service because it had been installed without government approval.
Weird.
A few months after the headstone was removed, an even bigger one was installed, and the NFS decided to leave it, fearing something even bigger would be put in its place.
Probably. They sounded petty enough. Why not try? Maybe they put a mausoleum down. That would have been so cool.
A cinder block tomb. In 2009, someone attempted to install an iron fence around Mattie's marker, and a disgruntled NFS
Oh.
worker removed everything as a result. Although the NFS was not cool with this, they rolled with it, and nothing else has been constructed to replace the one that was once there. This caught the
Okay.
attention of the APCRP, or the Arizona Pioneer and Cemetery Research Project. This group, which has its own brand of controversy, they use dowsing rods to try and find graves.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. In a place where like metal naturally exists. Cool.
They started demanding the marker's replacement. When the NFS and the APCRP met in November of 2009, a resolution could not be reached. Meanwhile, the True West Preservation Society in 2010 was working on a proposal to protect and interpret the aging cemetery as it was going to be part of the Legend of Superior Trail project.
Okay.
In an article published in 2025 by True West History, they noted that the Pinal City Cemetery, now dubbed the Historic Pinal Cemetery, is now protected by a fence and a new marker has been installed at Mattie's gravesite. But why was she forgotten, especially given her relationship with Wyatt Earp? Well, that would be thanks to Josephine.
The younger, prettier one. The one that wasn't on drugs.
Yes. When she became Wyatt's third and final wife, she did everything in her power to erase any mention of Mattie Blaylock, especially when people started to write about her husband's legacy.
I love that. I love that she was just like, nope, she didn't exist. Nope. What?
Unfortunately for her, as various researchers started to look into Wyatt's story, news of Mattie began to emerge.
Yeah, naturally.
There are reports that they were married from 1878 to 1881, but it's just as plausible that they were romantically involved much longer than that.
From 1871.
Now, I'll leave you with a poem that was previously on a memorial to Mattie. I'm not sure if it's still there. I noticed in a photo of the cemetery, there is like a historic marker, but I don't know if that's just kind of the story of the town and like its history, or if this is on it. I couldn't like zoom in enough to read it. And this poem is by Michael Papiani. Quote, "From within the swirling dust devil of the elf owl's cactus home, for abandoned dreams at the Silver King, for shattered in tombstone. She does not haunt the desert, in judgment nor in blame. Celia Blaylock Mattie Earp seeks justice to her name. From her 16-year-old Bright Star Reach to the laudanum whiskey glass, she will tell you how a life can be reduced to a tin-typed past, depicting almost moments of a wife who failed to lend credence to the legendary honor among men. If there be a time hereafter when troubled souls might rest, free from careless consequence of weakness in the flesh, I do not think it out of place to invoke to the dry rock earth God's rest to the yet departing soul of Celia Blaylock Earp." End quote.
They actually did have laudanum whiskey. It was 10% laudanum. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And they would give it away for like female disorders. 60 to 90% alcohol.
Yeah, that's a lot. No wonder she was out of it most of the time.
Yeah. Yep. Like, how could you not be a zombie being addicted to that? And how can you not want that feeling?
Yeah.
Of like zero pain?
Yeah.
You don't have to care about anything?
Yeah, especially if she had like migraines. Like,
and like a horrible childhood. Wyatt wasn't like a super great
husband. Yeah.
hang. You
Yeah.
know?
But yeah, that's the life of Mattie Blaylock.
Dang.
There is no listener question this week. So, what is something good you'd like to share?
I am taking some steps to get my health in check. And I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Good.
So, We made some appointments this week, and I applied to be seen at a different healthcare system.
Fingers crossed.
And I'll find out in a couple of weeks if I qualify. If I do, then I have to do like the really scary file for FMLA and sick and safe leave and make sure everything's fine. So yeah, my good thing was I found out a lot of information about that stuff. So if and when that time comes, I'll be ready. Because if I do end up getting permission to do the workup either here or in the south of Minnesota, it's going to be like a series of tests.
Sure.
So
sure.
I'd have to take time off. But the spring has been really rough. It's been really, really rough. With all the constant temperature and pressure changes, like I'm really loving the warm days. I'm loving the snow, but my body is just screaming every day. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful that I'll actually get some relief, hopefully within weeks and not months.
Nice.
How about you? What's something good?
So, my something good would be today in the mail, I got a packet with all of our information for our Africa trip. So it was like a really nice. Folded like binder type thing. It had
that's incredible.
All of our like flight information. It had confirmations of the different excursions we're going to be taking part in. It had the itinerary on it, and then we also received special luggage tags so that when we're at the airport, we can keep track of like all of our luggage, and it'll be easier to recognize it, and it'll also be easier to keep track of it as we travel from airport to airport.
Yeah, I'm sure you're like using the same shuttle or bus or somebody.
So yeah,
makes sense.
It's really nice, and it was really cool. I need to look up.
Is it real?
And then yesterday yeah, it was yesterday. I put a tarp in the garage and I sprayed the bug repellent on my clothes.
I was gonna say yeet, but that's not a thing. Deet.
Yeah, it's like super it's industrial grade, like this kind of stuff that you could like spray on your tents. I need to see how I can wash the clothes so that stuff doesn't like degrade before I pack. Because some of the stuff is like lighter colors, and I did get a little bit of dirt on them, so it's like I kind of want to wash them, and they're all wrinkly, and I want to try to look nice as I'm packing
at your work retreat.
So I'm not like a wrinkly mess. Although I doubt I'm going to be the only one wearing wrinkly clothes. So yeah, a lot of stuff is kind of falling into place, and I need to start planning all the other stuff, like sending people schedules for when I want them to be at the house, make sure that I have all the kids' medical cards and all that stuff out, and phone numbers to call if things happen. And yeah, that's me.
Exciting.
All right, shall we? And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Madison.
And we'll see you next time with another tale
as old as crime.
We wouldn't be here without support from listeners like you. If you're interested in supporting us financially, you can leave a one-time or monthly donation over on Buy Me a Coffee or our Venmo page. Links are in the show notes. And we make a point of reaching out to send you a thank you note and stickers to show our appreciation.
Want to show your support in a more concrete way? Pick up some Yield Crime merch over at our TeePublic shop. We shout out whenever there is a sale each month, and we work to make sure we're creating new designs and changing it up whenever possible. And hey, thanks for listening.
We love to hear from you, and there's a couple of ways you can reach out to us. You can email us at yeoldecrimepodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us story ideas, share any spooky stories you may have, fun gifts, or even just to say hello.
You can also reach out to us via snail mail. Remember mail? Our mailing address is Yield Crime Podcast, P.O. Box 341, Wyoming, Minnesota 55092. Fun fact, we like to send out thank you cards with fun stickers you can't get at our shop, so it's worth the cost of a stamp.
If you love the show, the best way to support us is to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Good Pods, CastBox, Podcast Addict, and or Audible. Links to all of these are in our show notes, or if you're already listening on one of these platforms, you know what to do.
Oh, and while you're at it, shoot us a question you'd like to hear us answer on the pod. We'll give you a special shout out and address your burning questions all at the same time. The weirder, the better. Submit them via link in our show notes or shoot them to us in our DMs.
Want to be social with us? You can see pics from this week's episode, bonus content, and funny memes on X at Ye Olde Crime Pod, or on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at Ye Olde Crime Podcast.
Speaking of YouTube, we have a special playlist just for our Can You Crack the Cramp Word segments with our guest podcasters to see who can correctly guess the meaning of some obscure Victorian slang terms. If that's your thing, check it out.